March may come in like a lion and go out like a lamb, or this being Hampton Roads, it could be vice versa. Either way, throughout March and April, there's lots happening here in Portsmouth, and we'll take a look at some of those events right here and right now on this March-April 2020 episode of Portsmouth Now. Welcome to this March-April 2020 episode of Portsmouth Now. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. Spring is on its way with lots of events taking place outside and many of them in the city's parks. Here is Mark Palamarchek. He is the director of the Portsmouth Department of Parks, Recreations and Tourism, and he's going to tell us about some of the events that they're sponsoring in those 2 months. Mark, welcome back to Portsmouth Now.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
So winter's heading out, spring's heading in. I'm sure there's lots happening in parks and recreations.
There is. March and April, another couple of busy months for the parks and recreation world. We're gearing down with our winter sports and of course gearing up with our spring sports. Coming up in March, on March 9th, we begin our citywide basketball tournament for our youth basketball leagues. That's an all-star tournament between all the leagues. We come together every year at the end of the season just to have some bragging rights and see who's best. And then, of course, right after that, we are already starting to gear up for our soccer, baseball, and softball for the youth, and then also our adult softball for all around the city.
Things happening at recreation centers in the parks yet?
Yes, we have some new classes and programs out at our Sportsplex Recreation Center. We're offering cheer and dance for youth 4 days a week. And then we're also offering boxing for youth and for adults 4 days a week.
Wow, boxing.
Yeah, so it's very good for cardiovascular, for health and fitness, helps keep you in shape, and then it helps you learn a little bit of self-defense as well.
Great, all right.
Yeah, and then of course, March and April, we start thinking of getting back outside. By the Week Golf Course has a new online reservation system where people can go online and book their tee times. They can call in, of course, and still come in person as well. Just gives the patrons another option. We have a lot of new pro shop items daily. And then we also begin our ladies only clinics on Tuesdays in April.
Are those in the evenings, in the mornings?
Those are in the evenings, yes, early evenings.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have all of our parks that begin to bustle in the spring as well. Two of our hidden gems, Hoffler Creek and Paradise Creek Nature Park, both offer kayaking, bird watching. Hoffler Creek offers yoga. So, there's a lot going on outside in the parks.
All right.
And then we have some events coming up in April as well. The first one would be the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. It's been in the city for about 30 years now. It highlights a lot of these college players that are beginning to look to go to the NBA. So we get a lot of really good college basketball players coming here every year. And that will be from April 15th through the 18th at Churchland High School. And then after that, we have our annual Arbor Day celebration, which we are combining with our Earth Day celebration this year.
Okay.
It's the 50th anniversary for Earth Day. So we're kind of combining everything all into one on April 25th. That'll be out at Paradise Creek Nature Park. And if anyone wants more information on any of this, they can go to our website at portsmouthparks.com.
Thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
It was my pleasure,
There's a lot
Rob.
going on.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. Stephen Gurnett is the Museum Gallery Supervisor at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center, and he is joining us today to tell us about events taking place there this March and April. Welcome back to Portsmouth Now, Stephen.
Thank you so very much, Rob.
So, what is happening at the Portsmouth Art Gallery?
We're kicking off for the new year the first weekend events that we have. The series starts in March and it goes through October.
Okay, for those who don't know what first weekends are, tell us.
Well, the great thing is they're all free. So the first Friday evening of every month from 5 to 8, we have a special event. Usually it's music, and a lot of times it's an open house for our exhibits. However, there won't be any exhibits up until April, but we're still going to have an event. And it'll start off probably in the annex building through our gift shop because the weather
still could be cool.
May be a little wonky.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Push Comedy Theater. And we did this last year.
Oh, wow.
So rather than a musical event, we're going to change things around a bit. The Portsmouth Partnership sponsors these, and they set up the lineup for these programs. And they're free, so from 5 to 8, the general public can come and partake in the music, or in this case, the Push Comedy Theater. This will be on March 6th.
Okay.
From 5 to 8, and there'll be refreshments and drinks served. And then the following day, we're going to have a free presentation. The first exhibit that'll open in April is going to be on the Tuskegee Airmen, and that will be the largest one in our main gallery upstairs. So we're going to start a series of programs related to the Tuskegee Airmen with a veteran who was trained as a Tuskegee Airman. His name is Dr. Harry Quinton, and he's going to give a presentation on Saturday, March 7th at 1:30 in the same space as Push Comedy Theater will perform in our annex building, just through our gift shop. So the following month, we will again have the first Friday event. That will be performer Julie Clark, and she's a singer-songwriter, so she'll be performing her original song. She's got a fantastic voice, lots of emotion and a meaning behind her lyrics, so she's got an excellent stage presence.
And this is the first Friday night in April.
In April, exactly. And then the following Saturday will be open free. The exhibits will be open free then, and we'll have a kite activity. April is Kite Month, and so every April we have a free kite decorating activity that goes along with that. The second Saturday, that will be Saturday, April 11th, we'll have a performance in the courtyard. The market won't have started yet, so we're just going to hope that the weather is nice then. Hopefully by that time it will be a little bit warmer. And the Who We Are Not group will be performing for that event. That'll be from 11 to 1.
Right, so it's the first weekend in March. First Friday night, we have Push Comedy. That first Saturday in March, we have Tuskegee Airmen in the afternoon.
Yeah, the presentation by Dr. Quinn.
Right, and then the first Friday in April is Clark, singing
Julie
in the
Clark,
court, Julie Clark. And again, that's just a great place to come on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's going to be a lot
mingle
of
with
fun.
Friends, drink, eat, listen to some great music, or get pushed around comedy.
And they only go till 8, so folks can afterwards then go out to eat and go to some of the local restaurants. Exactly.
That's great.
Because we're right up the street from we're right across the street from the Commodore Theater, right up the street from a lot of bars and restaurants.
Right
exactly.
there. Yep. Okay, great.
Good location.
All right, and then you'll be open again with exhibits in April.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, thanks for joining us, Stephen. Tell us what's going on.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Thanks. The highlight of any time spent in Portsmouth is visiting Old Town with its historic homes. And it's wonderful just to stroll down the sidewalk or drive through and take in the sights. But there's another way to do it too, and that is on a bike. And I'm joined by Edwin Street, who is going to tell us about some events coming up in April and in March. So welcome, Edwin.
Yes, well, thank you. And for the Old Town Business Association, this year is going to continue the second Saturdays in Old Town. And so they're going to be highlighting the new and historic artistic venues in the area, the museums and the public art. And on the bicycle ride, every second Saturday, we meet at the Ferry Dock Landing at 10:30 a.m. And we start on a bike ride, a 3-mile guided tour through to the museums and through the various public art in the area.
Wow, before you started filming, you said you used the term
eco-cycling.
Okay, so explain what eco-cycling is.
Eco-cycling, and we're stewards. We're basically stewards of the environment. Locally, we host bicycle tours, and we advocate for local community gardens. We educate people on keeping streets clean and keeping communities clean, and we organize cleanups in the area as well.
Will you be leading the tours yourself?
Yes, I'll be leading the bike rides on second Saturdays, and also Jonathan Nye, a partner of my partner, he'll be leading the rides also, and we take people through a short safety exercise, make sure everyone has their helmets, letting them know where we're riding and how to stay together. And we also are joined by the Portsmouth Sheriff Department too, and just for an extra measure of safety, and they enjoy the ride as well.
So how long does the ride take?
It only takes about 30 to 45 minutes total. We make a stop at the Colored Community Library Museum, which is just everyone's just awed by the fact that the museum is here in the city, and then they also enjoy, you know, just that short bike ride down through Portsmouth streets to get to these landmarks.
How long has this been going on? Since last year?
Yep.
Is this the second year?
Yep, we just started last year. The Old Town Business Association asked us to do this ride, and it's been exciting. We've had visitors from Norfolk, on electric bikes, on little bikes, big bikes. It's been very exciting.
What has been the reaction of people coming from out of town and seeing Old Town?
They are amazed. They're amazed by just the quaintness, of course, of our city and our streets, and of course the landmarks, the new and historical landmarks. They really have lots to say. A lot of times they're quiet, you know, just looking at it, but they let us know how excited. And we end with a lunch too at one of the local restaurants, and so we get to also chat with people that come from out of town or that are visiting and coming to the ride. And a bike ride is the best way to slow down and to see these things, and so it's a great event to have.
All right. Are there any other events coming up that you know of, or is this primarily?
Yes, so it's the second Saturday start in March of this year. They go through from March to October. So on the second Saturday in April, on April 11th, the Portsmouth Humane Society is also hosting a pet adoption from 11 to 2 on the Market Street in Portsmouth, and by the Children's Museum, right out in front of the Children's Museum.
If people wanted more information on this, do they have to sign up ahead of time for the bike rides? Is there a website to go to, a number they call?
They certainly can. There's a Facebook page for the bicycle arts tour in Portsmouth. They can go to the Old Town Business Association page, or they can go to the Old Town Business Association website, and they can RSVP, and we'll let them know how to prepare for the bike ride.
Thank you so much, and it's a great thing to check out. So be sure to come out to Portsmouth and eco-cycle with Edwin. Thanks, Edwin.
Thank you.
Portsmouth Community Concerts is now entering its 82nd year, and for all those years they have been bringing fantastic musicians and singers of all sorts here to the citizens of Portsmouth. I'm joined now by Susan Callum, and she's here to tell us about what is coming up this spring and also looking ahead into the future for next year. Welcome, Susan.
Well, thank you, Rob. I'd like to say thank you for having me here. We are currently in our 81st season. We have 2 remaining concerts, and those will be held at IC Norcombe High School. March 27th, 7:30 p.m., we have the Maxwell Quartet, which is the Glasgow-based quartet from Scotland, and they will be doing Celtic folk heritage songs. On May 1st, we have the Sean Johnson Big Band Experience.
Oh, cool.
And that will be everything from way back to Sinatra.
So the new season begins in the fall. So what do you have coming up in the fall? What are the dates and what are the performances?
On Friday, October 23rd, 7:30 p.m., we will have Sweet Dreams. Mandy Barnett sings Patsy Cline, and she was in the original production of Always Patsy Cline.
That was hugely popular all over the country. Yeah.
And next Friday, November 20th, we will have Ilya Yakushev and Thomas Meza. That is a Russian pianist and a Cuban-American cellist.
Wow.
Okay. A diversity.
A diversity right
Friday,
there.
but now, and then we jump into 2021. Friday, March 19th, we have Voice Play. Now, Voice Play is a group that was on the show The Sing-Off, a cappella, and hearing them is like a whole musical production going on. Friday, April 16th, 2021, we have Vinyl Radio. They are a rock and roll group playing all the classics, and you will be transported way back into the 70s when you hear that group.
Way back into the 70s.
Yes. And most recently, oh yeah, and if you want to dance in the aisles, we're not going to stop you. Most recently, we have booked Voices of Service, and they will be May 21st, 2021. That is a group, a quartet, that was just on America's Got Talent. They were a semifinalist in the season 14, and they were brought back in January of this year on the Champion Show. Voices of Service is comprised of active military servicemen and women, and they sing patriotic songs. They sing just a wide, diversified repertoire, and they also have a mission of helping veterans with PTSD, mental health issues.
Wow.
So we're really looking forward to that. I have to tell you, Rob, that we look at a lot of America's Got Talent, and believe it or not, there are some really good acts out there that, that's where we became familiar with
when I
Voices
was
of
growing up,
Service.
I grew up here in Portsmouth and years ago. 70s is about right.
Okay.
But I know back then when the community concerts, it was, if you were young, you just sort of groaned a little bit because you knew it was going to be like classical music. That was the assumption.
Okay.
But it really has changed over the decades, and you are really offering something for everyone.
We are. I just came on as president in this past July. And looking through the history, they started in 1938. A few people from Portsmouth went up to New York City, and they came back with season 1, which premiered at Wilson High School, which is where Norcom High School is
It used
now.
to be Harry Hunt
Yes.
Junior High School.
Yes. Okay, I'm learning
Well,
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right, a lot of it was classical, opera, quartets. But through the years, we've evolved. Now we have, a younger generation we're trying to attract. As I said, voice play is a cappella, and Voices of Service, of course, patriotic. We're hoping to attract a
Right.
lot of the veterans, young and old.
Right.
Mandy Barnett, Patsy Cline, I think we all love those songs of Patsy Cline.
Oh,
And and vinyl radio, as I said, is going to be classic. So we're trying. We're trying to diversify the season.
Are there season tickets? Do you buy one show at a time? How does it work?
We do have a season subscription, and people can go online, or we do have brochures that become available at the end of this season. We have single tickets as well. There are group sales. And and we also offer, I should say, we offer free tickets to students of Portsmouth public, private, homeschooled, special needs students in the classrooms. And I would like to mention, we do have a partnership with Portsmouth Public Schools. We do student outreaches. One of them is called, in fact, we had 2 just recently. One is 1-2-3 Let's Dance, which is for the 2nd graders of Portsmouth. The next one is Build Your Brain Power Move, which is for the pre-K. And we just experienced what those were like. And it's unreal
love it.
when the kids come off the bus and the instructors, the physical ed instructors are putting them through a series of movement, dance, songs that they relate to. Baby Shark is one of them, and Old Town Road is another one. And even the teachers and the parents that come are dancing. And it's just great.
That's great.
It's a great, yeah.
All right. So is there a website?
We do have a website. It's www.portsmouthcommunityconcerts.com. We also have a phone number, and it is 757-686-5447. And we are on Facebook.
Okay.
People can look us up there. That's
Look
it.
you up, connect, get tickets,
That's it.
come out, have a great time.
We want to see you.
All right. Thanks so much, Susan.
Thank you, Rob, for having me.
The Lightship Portsmouth has been a fixture here in Old Town Portsmouth since the late 1960s, and it really is one of Portsmouth's most unique museums, although most people probably don't think of it as a museum. I'm joined now by Ross Patterson, who's an assistant curator with the City of Portsmouth Museums, and he has been working on the Lightship, and he's here to tell us about what's going on. Welcome, Ross.
Thank you.
So, you've been working, I hear, on opening and fixing up the Lightship for opening in March.
Yes, yep, she's going to open on March 6th, and previously the Lightship's essentially been, you want to call it a shell, so you'd had a few items in some of the rooms, but a lot of it's just been, this is a compartment that's unlabeled, and I wanted to try and take it back to a point in history. So in doing research on the Lightship, I actually stumbled across photographs and some records from the mid-50s, specifically March of 1955. So in the process of doing all this research, I decided, let's make it so when you visit the ship, you're experiencing a day in the life of the Lightship. So now all 26 compartments that you can readily see or visit in the Lightship have been labeled with the crews who were stationed there in 1955, and it kind of works you through what would go on in each compartment, who would have been living there, with photographs of the crews and their ages and some of their locations when it was under the command of a bosun's mate chief petty officer named Ralph Jolene and his assortment of men that were stationed at Stonehorse Shoals off the coast of Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. So that's really just stuck back to a specific time, 1955. Yes. Now, how old is the ship itself?
The ship was first laid down in 1915 and then commissioned in 1916 at the very early part of the year. So she's actually just turned 104.
Wow.
and it's been 48 years on the ocean in various points in Virginia, Delaware, and up in Massachusetts.
Now, how rare is it to have? Is it rare to have a lightship as sort of a museum like this?
There are less than 24 lightships surviving in one state or another.
Wow.
In the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah. Lightships, effectively, they were in operation up until 1985, and then afterwards, the Coast Guard surplus them. So some of them were converted actually into like crab fishing boats up in Alaska. That's what happened to the sister ship of LV 101, the lightship Portsmouth here. 102 ended up in Alaska for a while. Some of them were bought by marinas and used as headquarters for their ships. A couple of them just got turned into museums. So it just depended on what happened. So very few of them survived, considering that several hundred were made at one point or another.
What is the date again? Where the lightship
March
open?
6th, Friday.
Okay. And is that open now certain days of the week?
It's open on the weekends.
On the weekends.
Yes.
Okay. And do you know what the hours will be
when it's open on Fridays and Saturdays? Hours are 10 to 5, and Sundays hours would be 1 to 5. So same as the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard Museum.
Okay, now is admission to the lightship, is that included within
It's
admission?
by donation.
Oh, donation?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so come and donate. And do you give the tours? Do we have volunteers that are also helping doing the tours, or?
It depends on which one of us will be stationed there at the day. So it might be myself, it might be Bruce Ebert, he's one of our part-timers. Diane Cripps, the curator, might be there. So it might change from day to day who's going to be stationed there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, well, if people want more information on Lightship, is there a website they can go to?
The Portsmouth Naval Shipyard Museum has a link to the Lightship Portsmouth's website. I believe it's really also on the Children's Museum website too.
Okay, so basically linked to any of the Portsmouth museums.
Any of the websites will have the information linked to it on the bottom. It has a little red icon of the lightship Fresnel lens up top.
Okay, now obviously you enjoy this whole doing the research in this.
Oh, yes.
Well, tell us why. What really fascinates you about history and about this digging back into the past?
I grew up going into museums a lot, and I always like old ships. I ended up getting a maritime certificate for my master's degree, so I was focusing on Navy and Coast Guard aspects there. So old vessels, old technology, all just fits nice in my wheelhouse. So there's nothing more fun than researching something, going down in a compartment, seeing how it's fixed up, and then just researching it even more. So I have looked at every data plate that I can find in that vessel and researched every little piece I can track down.
So there's a lot of love there.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, thanks, Ross. Thanks for all you've done. And be sure, really, beginning this March, to check out the Lightship Portsmouth. We're joined by Keith Toller from the Portsmouth Tourism Office, and he is here to tell us about events taking place in March and April. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, glad to have you here. So your office is busy trying to find ways to
bring people to Portsmouth. Exactly,
Okay.
That's what we do. And so what I try to do is consolidate as much information as possible on things that would draw people to Portsmouth. We've got some great things coming up in March and April. We've got some pretty standard events. We've got the Winter Farmers Market. A lot of people don't know that that's been going on. And that's happening on King Street behind Crocken's, and it's every Saturday from 10 until 2. Okay. So you can come down and find some fresh vegetables and some locally produced honey and that kind of thing there at the Winter Farmers Market. Now the big Farmers Market will come back again later in the spring.
Okay, will that be at the courthouse?
That's going to be back at the courthouse,
okay,
yes. Okay, so you've got the Winter Farmers Market happening. Then we also have the museums on us, which is a Bank of America program for any card holders. And so the first full weekend of of every month you can get into the Children's Museum for free if you have one of those cards.
Great.
So yeah, that's an incentive to come down, because that is, the normal admission I think is $10 or $11 to get into the Children's Museum. And a lot of people have seen Mary Veal and the Colonials on the street.
Yes.
They will be coming back in March and April, and as we get closer to the summer season, their frequency on the street will increase. So you'll see them more and more.
We did a great interview with them in our last episode.
We are so fortunate to have them here, and they're expanding their troupe as well. So there'll be more characters this year than they've had in previous years.
Great.
So that's exciting to have them coming back. Also coming up in the spring, we've got I never can say this correctly, the St. Fiacre flower sale, which will be at St. John's Church. It's a great time to go to the church, and you can get locally produced honey and different products, from local, but you can also get plants for your sale, and it's all for your garden, and it's all for a good cause.
Right.
So that's coming up on April 24th and 25th. And then we've got the PIT, which is coming, and I know you've probably covered the PIT before, but that's going to be here. That draws a lot of people from out of town. It's a big tourism boom for us. I mean, the hotels fill up.
Really?
Yeah, the players are here.
I had no idea.
All the NBA scouts come in, and they go out to eat. So it's a good tourism generator for us here in Portsmouth, a good economic impact. And the Virginia Arts Festival, which everyone knows, but really kind of equates more with Norfolk, I think, but they provide programming regionally. And so they'll be here on April 28th with a jazz vocalist at Roger Brown's, and I never can pronounce his name, Voyu Sotashi, will be here. So that's April 28th, and that's part of the Virginia Arts Festival program that's going on. Then we've got some larger events that are going to happen that's going to draw probably a few thousand people, we're hoping. The first one is going to be St. Patty's Day, which will be March 14th. Old Town Public House is filed a permit to close off Court Street. They're going to have a stage out there. They'll have bands starting at 11 o'clock and going until about 10 o'clock that night outside. Wow. So you'll be able to have a street party for St. Patty's Day. Meanwhile, some of the other businesses, along with the Old Town Business Association, have gotten together, and they're going to be producing a pub crawl for St. Patty's Day as well. So again, that's March 14th. So it's going to be a good time, I think, and we'll probably see at least 1,000 to 2,000 people will be here for that event. If the weather holds out for us, let's hope it does. Then at the end of March, we have a reenactment event that's coming up. It's the second year we've done it. It's called A Post Such as Portsmouth, and it showcases the British being here in 1781. So to try to set the stage for all of that, you have to go back into December of 1775 when they fought the battle at Great Bridge. Yeah. And of course, the British lost that battle, and they were pushed back into Norfolk. And so about a month later, New Year's Day, as a matter of fact, of 1776, this is before the war officially started.
Right.
They were on their ships outside of Norfolk, and they started shooting cannons and attacking Norfolk, and Norfolk started to burn. Well, the Patriots realized with the ships coming in that they couldn't hold Norfolk and with its strategic advantage, so they burned the rest of the city. So once Norfolk was burned, the British left, and they didn't come back until 1781. And because Norfolk was burned and didn't have the infrastructure, Portsmouth was unscathed. And so we had all of the infrastructure here. And so General Benedict Arnold, he landed here in January of 1781. They marched up High Street, and this is where our story begins with the reenactment. So during that reenactment, you're going to have civilians, you'll have the Royal Navy, and you'll have other military personnel that will be reenacting life and times in those months of 1781.
That's cool. I heard, I don't know if this is folklore or not, that the coffee shop across from the Children's Museum, the building that stood there, was Benedict Arnold's
headquarters.
Office. Yeah.
It sure was, on the second floor, absolutely.
Yeah, wow.
I always told them they needed to do Trader Joe's.
Yeah, really. That's great. Good idea.
Anyway, that's going to be happening. They've got vignettes all day. It's a 2-day event. So you'll be able to have military drills, that you'll see how civilians interacted. And because Portsmouth was, the people here, you had some that were patriots and some that were loyalists. And so there were always little conflicts going on. Yep. But I think when the British got here, they were all, on the surface, they were all loyalists while the British were here. But then of course, when they left, the British left Portsmouth and sailed to Yorktown to fight the last battle of the Revolution in 1781. So it's going to be an exciting time to we'll have about 100 different reenactors here on that Saturday and Sunday.
But that sounds like a
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then the last event I wanted to talk to you about is this is the centennial for the Virginia Garden Club. And so it's 100 years. This is the 87th year they've done their Homes and Garden Tour, and Portsmouth was selected as one of the stops for of the 31 across the state. So it will be in Old Town Portsmouth. We've got 5 houses plus the Hill House Museum will be on the tour, and tickets are on sale for that right now. That's going to be April the 18th. That's taking place. So big, exciting times coming up in March and April.
Alrighty, if people wanted more information on these things, do they just go to Portsmouth Events?
I would suggest that you go to the Facebook page. That has the most comprehensive listing of events for everything that's going on. We try to keep that updated as much as possible. So it's Visit Ports VA on Facebook.
Okay.
So if you check that, you'll see, and go to events, you'll see all of the events that are coming up. We've got events posted all the way through July right now.
Wow.
So, and we're adding more all the time. So that's probably the best place. So visit Ports VA on Facebook, or visit portsva.com on the website. There's a new what's called Hot Topics on that website, and you can go and read in-depth articles about a post such as Portsmouth, about Garden Week. You can get all the details in an in-depth article on there. So we're trying to really grow that area of the website as well. So visit Ports VA. That's what I want you to remember.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Keith, and good luck with everything. Can't wait
Appreciate
to
it.
check them out.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's it for today's show. If you'd like more information about any of the events that we've covered on this show, or any other events taking place in Portsmouth during the months of March and April, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com and then come to Portsmouth, where if you give us a day, we'll give you a vacation. I'm Rob Lauer. Join me next time for our May-June episode of Portsmouth Now.